told my producer to come in a tux, and apparently that was just a post.
Yes, he said finally I am to give me the respect that I am entitled to as the winner of the TuneIn, what is it? Progressive Voice of Reason Award. Thank you, Allie. Or perhaps you're hosting the Revies with Reverend Al Sharpton. But you know what? Whatever. Good morning.
Nice to see you, my friend.
So we were talking.
We got a lot of news. We got a lot of things going on.
I know. Well, we were just saying, can we celebrate marriage equality for a second, or Brittany Griner being home with her wife? No, Kristen Sinema and her latest "look at me" move. I just was saying, how do you read this? Because I was saying it'd be different if she was either flipped to Republican or was going to caucus with Republicans, but she isn't. So this doesn't affect the balance of power. It's just a pure, pay attention to me. I'm still relevant move.
Bernie Sanders does the same thing. It has no meaningful effect because any senator can side with their party or not side with their party. Ultimately, what the message is that I'm going to side with the party on most important things, but Kyrsten Sinema has shown her maverickness in other ways, and she may continue to do so. So I think this may be internal messaging and Arizona-specific messaging in a state where there were resounding Democratic victories in the last midterm election, but that had to do with candidate quality, right? Michigan and Arizona, and to some degree Pennsylvania, had Republicans voting that Republicans wouldn't even vote for. So I think it's got more to do with all of the above than any sentimental shift that's going on. I think this is the least that you can do to send some sort of signal out. And as you said, the White House pouring a little bit of cold water on it probably wasn't the response she was looking for, but I think it's probably accurate.
And also in the what do you call it, in the history of blame shifting, I blamed Cece Goldwater for trying to set me up with Kyrsten Sinema. It was not my own bad taste.
But things could have been different if that had worked out.
That's true. I
could have drawn her to the light. Anyway, Allie, listen.
Released to the Progressive Awards. What was the Reasonable Progressive Award?
Yes.
Thank you.
The Progressive Voice of Reason Awards.
Right, yes, that.
She should have been your date.
Exactly. Okay. Allie, so speaking of Brittany Griner being home, we talk every week about how just unbelievably partisan and ugly things have gotten, but nope, the right can't celebrate for a moment an American being home with their loved ones over the holidays. It is just this, and I thought like I was going to lose my shizzle listening to the right wing. First of all, Trump didn't get Paul Whelan home in 2 years, right?
Which is why I don't understand why he posted some ridiculous thing about the worst deal in the world. It's like, you were president. You actually, Trump in Helsinki almost traded Bill Browder away to Vladimir Putin.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump should just not post on this stuff, and Republicans should be cautious about it. This is amazing. I will tell you, I'm not right about a lot of things, which is why I'm always curious when you invite me back on the show. But I thought Brittany Griner was going to spend the remainder of this war in Russia because they had a Trump card, and this war that Ukraine is winning is an American-funded and American-supplied war. It's essentially a proxy war. The idea that they actually took Victor Bout in exchange for Brittany Griner, I think, is the deal of the century.
Yeah.
Because they have an actual war. They could have said a whole lot of other things, including stop supporting Ukraine and do this and do that, which the United States wouldn't have done. I think there are two things to keep in mind when thinking about Brittany Griner, and that is the majority of hostages or people who are detained in the world are detained the way Brittany Griner is. It's an unjust charge, an unjust conviction held by a government or held by a government aligned entity. There are very few people who are held as hostages by random groups in the Middle East or Africa or wherever it is. Most of it is this kind of thing. And the White House under Biden has really, really been very aggressive at understanding that. How do we get people, how do we maintain dialogue with people we might be at war with or have as adversaries and work to get these people home? And I think that this demonstrates a remarkable sophistication. I definitely was always hoping that Brittany Griner would get out, but I didn't have as much hope that she would, given the political situation in which we exist.
In my opinion, another spectacular win for Joe Biden. I mean, by the way, Marina Zimmerman tweeted, seeing these prisoner swaps always brings back the heartbreaking image of Otto Warmbier, the American college student North Korea murdered while Trump was sending love letters back and forth with Kim Jong-un. So, Mr. Art of the Deal can just sit this one out and shut the up, in my opinion.
That was what I was most surprised. Not that I disagree with him, because that's often. So why are you in on this? What kind of gaslighting is this that you are talking about your ability to do these things when in fact you didn't?
Well, right, and also, Jeff Tiedrich said, "Hey, Dip, Donald Trump had 2 years to bring Paul Whelan home and didn't say so straight off with your performative nonsense, Bull."
Oh, wow. That's a lot of bleeps.
Yes. Mueller, she wrote, said the same thing. She said to those insisting Trump would have brought Paul Whelan home, explain to me why Trump didn't bring Paul Whelan home.
Right.
And Adam tweets, Trump freed 5,000 Taliban soldiers and then invited their leaders to Camp David. Seriously, sit out this art of the deal, right?
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, but I have to say, as an American, I just cried. I mean, seeing her home in the arms of her wife on the day marriage equality passed. It is
a lesson, though, to Americans that these are your risks now if you're a high-profile American traveling in places. And increasingly, it's not just Russia, right? There are places like Hungary and Turkey, obviously Iran and North Korea are big examples, but China, where if you are thought to be critical and if you are of some celebrity, you're a target.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is terrifying. Speaking of terrifying, Supreme Court, you tweeted a Supreme Court weighs North Carolina dispute based on a fringe concept known as independent state legislature theory that could upend election law. It's a fringe concept. You said the theory posits that legislatures have absolute power to set election rules and determine disputed outcomes. I'm hoping, it's looking like hopefully the Supreme Court will not rule in favor of this. Certainly Clarence Thomas should be recusing himself because this is what his lunatic wife was promoting when trying to overturn the 2020 election. But what do you think?
Well, Gorsuch was sort of seemed favorable to going with the independent state legislature theory. So they may split the baby on this one. We're going to have to see what Roberts does. We haven't heard from, we're not clear on what Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett are going to say about this. Obviously, the progressives on the court see this as the fringe theory that it is. It's a fringe theory. It's the idea that legislatures are not subject to courts, which is that's not the way our system's built in America, right? The legislature can legislate, and the courts can say whether or not that's in keeping with the actual law.
Right.
So now this is based on a very specific redistricting case in North Carolina, but essentially, if the claimants succeed, this means that the legislature can say whatever it wants, and that goes as far as changing the slate of electors, which we know certain states tried to do in the presidential election, or just declaring who won as president in a given state. It is very, very, very serious. Judge Michael Ludig, who's the guy who put out that series of 6 or 7 tweets on January 5th that allowed Mike Pence the cover to not do what Donald Trump wanted. Judge Ludig is a conservative jurist, and he arguing about this. He said this is really this is the greatest threat to democracy that this court has seen, and everybody's got to pay really close attention to it. It's fringe and it's hard to understand. Well, but it's necessary to understand.
Yeah, and Allie, this is why this was a big deal yesterday, codifying, marriage equality, because they're going to try to get every right-wing fever dream they ever had done with this current Supreme Court. I mean, even this case of the, designing a website for gay weddings, no one ever asked this woman to design a website for gay people. This is clearly like a, go ahead.
If I were having my gay wedding and knew you didn't want to do my website, guess what I'd do? I'd go somewhere else. Like, you're just... She's just making this a First Amendment case. And look, I don't mind that people push and figure out what the boundaries of the First Amendment are. It's my favorite amendment. But this is exactly right. We're going toward this world where if we don't make these things laws, you're going to see the Supreme Court just taking apart rights.
Yeah. Allie, in the wake of the Warnock win in Georgia, I just love, I don't know how many stories that was this morning, Travis, inside the Herschel Walker campaign fiasco,
amazing.
Inside the turbulent Dune campaign.
I keep reading them all, and they're all juicy and amazing and unsurprising, right?
Yeah, here's the one that you would love as America's newsman. One campaign staffer reached out to Christian Walker for help managing his father. Would you be open to talking about how some of the messaging stuff? Christian says, "What do you mean by messaging?" The consultant said, "Stop being a moron on TV." Tell your father, stop being a moron.
Christian Walker did, right? He actually got out and did a post about the whole thing. The idea that they could not connect with Herschel Walker and his wife, so they went to his kid to say, I don't think he's listening to any of us. There were competing forces on the campaign. But all of the competing forces, but let me put it this way. There was at least one side of the campaign that says less Herschel Walker or more Herschel Walker talking about policy. And that just wasn't what Herschel Walker did. He just invented stuff out of whole cloth. He was quite compelling when he did it, but it was whole cloth. that being mired in scandal, not telling this campaign about the things that might come out. This is textbook how not to run a campaign.
Well, and also here we go. It's another Republican establishment, and therefore the media have to pretend there is any universe in which Herschel Walker was qualified to be a United States senator.
Right.
I mean, this is the Republican establishment refused to listen to the campaign's warnings that Walker was a train wreck of a candidate who couldn't win. This isn't just on Trump. This is on the whole Republican Party.
So this is everybody. One of the best criticisms of the campaign that I read, though, was the one from Marjorie Taylor Greene about how they didn't use her enough in the campaign. They should have they called her twice, or they didn't call her twice, or something of that nature. And had they done that, she would have won. It's like this campaign is getting it from everybody. All sides. Yeah. Everybody thinks they did it wrong because it's like Doug Mastriano's campaign in Pennsylvania. It's like, you know what? When you got the world's worst candidate, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah. The consultant there said what we established is the absolute floor of the GOP base in Georgia. This is what you get when you have a candidate who threatened women, stalked them, paid them to have abortions, said crazy things, has an adversarial relationship with the English language. Maybe next time we'll learn. If recent history is any guide, they won't learn. Right? I mean,
and again, Mitch McConnell did identify this, right, when he used that language about we've got a quality control problem, or a candidate quality problem. However, if that's the floor of the GOP in Georgia, it's kind of worrisome. Herschel Walker got a lot of votes. He got more votes in the midterm than he got in the runoff, but he got a lot of votes.
Yeah, it's an American tragedy. All right, listen, your bow tie's a little. Yeah, there you go. Okay, perfect. All right, tell Al Sharpton I said hi. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Al.
Love you, Allie. Goodbye, America's newsman. There you go.
Ow.